All right, types of competitions. Now, there are loads of types of competitions that I can't put here, usually because there are lots of combinations. So you might have a photo and recipe submission and a mystery basket, and it be a plan menu, or I'm sorry, probably not a plan menu, but probably be product based. You could pretty much put all four of these in a big mix all together. For example, Unilever Chef of the Year starts with a photo or recipe submission, and then it does a product-based mystery basket. If you don't understand the terms, don't stress. We're going to go through every single one of them now. This is where the pen and paper is important, because you need to write down little bits and pieces that I'm telling you as we go along. So the first one is photo and recipe submission. Some brands use chef competitions to create recipes using their products. This is to promote their brand, not the chef. Okay? Young chefs always make the mistake of, when a photo and recipe brand submission comes along, they go and make this beautiful dish, but forget to make any one of these products stand out. So let's say it's Hewlett's. They go and make a main meal. Obviously, if it's Hewlett's, they're looking for desserts. Unless you can make an amazing main meal with sugar, which usually it wouldn't be. Brands may either be looking for a simple recipe so that they can use it for their average customers. So like Lucky Star, for example, they often put out little booklets with recipes in them that the average Joe can do at home. So they might be looking for chefs to create those. It means a lot less work from them, and it creates a lot of hype around it. Or they could be looking for something fine dining to boost the perceived image of their product. So something like Nola mayonnaise is just thought of as a mayonnaise. Not many people take it seriously as a component used for cooking. So what they'll do is they'll say, well, we want a dish from whatever chef puts their stuff in, and we want it to look fine dining. We want it to look fancy. Then that image of this brand is already boosted because chefs are using them. They're showing other chefs that they can be used for the same thing, or they can be used for different things. I saw in a competition once, I think it was Unilever Food Solutions Young Chef of the Year, one of the mystery ingredients that they gave us was mayonnaise, and everyone made like a wasabi mayo with fish or whatever. Someone used mayonnaise in their brownies, and they made a mayonnaise-based brownie, which you can do by substituting the fat for mayonnaise. And automatically, the brand of mayonnaise was then used by chefs to do amazing things. So that's the difference between the two. And you won't really know unless you actually ask the brand itself. So if a competition for Nola mayonnaise comes along, you go through and say, look, I want to enter, but I just want to know, are you looking for simple recipes? Are you looking for fine dining? They can come back to you and say, well, whatever you want to do. So it's not always clear. So it's always good to have two different types of entries. One that's really simple and one that's fine dining. That's what I always do. A lot of these places allow multiple entries. It just means more recipe ideas for their chefs and their product development team. All right, so do we understand that? Photo and recipe submission. I'm going to give you an example. Lucky Star. This is straight from the Lucky Star website. It says a taste of home, okay? It's a pilchard pie or something that some chef has put in here. And it's a simple recipe for regular customers. Anyone could cook that. I couldn't find a very recent picture, unfortunately. But this is from a few years back, where fine dining, okay, for this has been used to give the customer a better perceived image of the brand. So although this plating is a little bit old school, if you have a look at it, it looks quite new. It looks a little bit fresher than a random pilchard bake. Okay, and it's taken a lot more seriously. There's chefs judging it. And yeah, it's usually hosted by SACA, the South African Chefs Association, etc., etc. So those are the two different types that you'll get when you're going into photo and recipe submissions. What the judges look for. Now, everyone gets this wrong because they don't even bother asking the company or the judges what they actually want to see. So with a photo and recipe submission, a perfectly written recipe is vital. The judges look to see if it's your own recipe. They are not stupid, okay? They can see if it comes from Pinterest or howtobake.com or whatever. They check if you've actually used their product. They use their products every day. If you can't find, for example, I did one year, I tried to cheat. I tried to tell Unilever Food Solutions, oh no, in fact, it was Goldcrest. I tried to enter with a pea puree, but I didn't have the Goldcrest peas, so I used another brand. And they emailed me back and they said, our peas are incredibly green from the tin, and those don't look like ours. So they immediately knew that I was talking nonsense, and they knew that I didn't actually use their product. So you need to be very sure that you've actually got their product and that you're using the product that they say. Okay. Also check, usually for a photo and recipe submission, they'll give you a list of products that you can use, unless of course they say, well, you can get the list from the internet. All right. Make sure the photo is clear. Guys, I don't care if you have to beg, borrow, or steal a phone. You make sure that that photo is one of the nicest, clearest photos that you are ever going to take on a beautiful white plate. Please don't do slate and all that other rubbish. Do something that will pop color in a photo, and that's usually a white plate, unless you have a professional camera that will capture the light on a dark plate or in a dark setting. They check if the recipe makes sense. So they will go through every single ingredient, every single step, and they will basically in their head say, actually, she said that she's making a brownie with only 100 grams of sugar, but usually a brownie uses almost triple that for the amount of flour. Or she said that she's going to put her brownie into a tray, but she hasn't said grease her tray. I'm using these weird examples because this is some of the things that my students have been marked down on before. My previous students. They also check, are the ingredient quantities correct? So they're not stupid. They're going to see. In your recipe, when doing something, especially when it's fine dining, you might have 7 to 9 components on your plate. You might have a lot of different components that you have to write recipes for. So the easiest way to do that would be to write little individual recipes. But at the end of your photo submission, they ask for an ingredient list of all of the recipe ingredients together. Okay, so if you've said 1 gram of salt in your first element for your starter, and then you've also said 1 gram of salt for your mash and your main, and you've also said 1 gram of salt for your salted caramel, and you know what I mean, they might actually go and check and count all those salt grams, and if you don't have 3 grams of salt in your full ingredient list right at the end, they will notice that.